What's up, guys? Adele here with Traders Brawl in collaboration with Web3 TV. We're coming at you live at the World Finance Council. I'm here with Jason Fernandes from AdLunam. Jason, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for being part of the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and AdLunam.
Sure. So what we do, I co-founded AdLunam. AdLunam is essentially an investment platform. And a Launchpad. So we accelerate projects, essentially help them in the lead up to their public sales. So that includes connecting them with advisors. We have an investor network of 40 some institutional investors. Also then connect them to the exchanges, Launchpads, whatever is most appropriate for them, and then basically blow them up. So basically help companies in the lead up to their public sales. So that's what we do. And then privately, of course, I advise a lot of projects. I invest in a lot of projects, mostly projects that, we have some ability to affect the outcome for. So we're able to make certain connections, and those are sort of the ideal projects that we get involved in.
Great. You help them with the run-up before their launch, they're already launched, but before their ICO. Or IDO. Is it only with decentralized, or do you also work with centralized as well?
So we do also work with companies that are launching on centralized exchanges. The thing about centralized exchanges is that very rarely is a company that's about to launch have a tier one exchange that they're launching on. So most times what they'll do is they'll guarantee, with an IDO, you can guarantee that you're going to launch on a particular day. So they'll plan that, and then around that, while they've already planned the IDO, then they'll look into basically what is a good centralized exchange. And we have an exchange network. So we're partnered with 5 out of the top 15 exchanges by all-time high ROI, and we're able to make connections for these projects, connect them to these centralized exchanges to look at like possible listings. So pretty much every company that we work with does a centralized exchange listing. It's a question of sort of where exactly they list, whether it's a tier 1 exchange, tier 2, and so on.
Understood. And I think, do you think there's a disadvantage if you launch on a tier 2 exchange?
Yeah, I do. I mean, generally speaking, it really massively matters in terms of where you launch, because it comes down to the number of people that are going to be trading your token, the trading volume. So if you're on a tier 1 exchange, or an exchange that has like high spot trading volume, your token is not going to do well. It's really, really difficult. A lot of companies think that that the exchange will do everything, especially when they list on a lot of centralized exchanges. They'll tell them, hey, don't worry, like we have massive amounts of volume. Like it's just gonna, once you list, everything is just going to open up for you, and that doesn't really happen. Essentially, it's almost more stress for the project, because once they list, then they have to make sure that they can like manage that liquidity, ensure that that there's enough volume, that there's enough the prices are controlled, and they stay the same across different exchanges and stuff. So these sort of things are just enormously complicated for projects, and I think a lot of them give a lot of faith to the exchanges, but that's not really a good idea.
I'm really glad you set the record straight, because many people tend to get that misconception that once they launch, oh, we're done. But work's just started. You passed the hurdle of launching, but you can't just forget about it, and that's what tends to happen. There's so much hype on the build-up, but once they're already launched, it's like they're gone. Like, yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100% right. So when we used to do marketing for a lot of projects, they talk a lot about the marketing lead up to their launch. And then it almost seems like once they launch, they really don't care about the marketing anymore. And you're going to die. You're essentially going to completely die once you hit an exchange. If you've got all this lead up and then suddenly you just pull the rug from under it, you're going to be in bad state. So essentially, you're, like you said, the work has just started once you launch, and you're really getting ready for launch is getting ready to start the work. So that's not the end point. That's like the very beginning, basically.
And then following the recent success of the Bitcoin ETF, spot ETF application, what does that mean for AdLunam? Do you foresee more projects being listed and things like that?
So I think whenever you have a Bitcoin ETF, or really any ETF, it allows more traditional funds from the finance sector to get in, more institutional investment more retail investments via institutions, right? And so it allows a lot of money to flow in. And whenever you have that money flowing in, you have essentially a scarcity of Bitcoin. So you're going to have like prices going up, right? So that I think is going to happen. And then of course that generally when you have a Bitcoin bull market, that extends for a certain amount of time. Then you'd have something like an altcoin season, right? Because there's not enough money money, Bitcoin is not volatile enough to provide the profits that a lot of these traders want. So then they'll move to altcoins, and then post altcoins, it comes down to like an IDO market, and like the NFTs start becoming really interesting because that's sort of where the money is at that point. So I think that essentially a Bitcoin ETF really means the start of a bull season that will sort of culminate in a boost for IDO projects. So right now we're not seeing that. Right now projects are launching on exchanges, and they're doing really poorly. They're not doing a really good multiple, and that's because we haven't yet moved there. There's enough volatility in Bitcoin for traders to spend their money in Bitcoin and for it to be a lot safer. So that hasn't actually, once that dries up, and then once the altcoin season starts drying up, only then I think will the money start moving into IDOs and launchpads and crypto, NFTs and so on. So I think that is sort of signifies the beginning of it, but it still means that there's a significant amount of run up before
Very good. I'm glad that many people I've spoken to have given a really optimistic view about it's all going to be rainbows and sunshine, because obviously ETFs, it has been approved, but also the halving is happening, is going to take place. But you've got to be realistic, right? It doesn't mean that it's all going to be. You see, Bitcoin hit 39K from 45. Right, people took profits. That doesn't mean it's the end of the world. I'm just saying, just be realistic about. Yeah. There's always going to be pulls and pushes.
Yeah, so I think one of the things is that, buy the rumor, sell the fact, right? We say this like as traders all the time, and I think what ends up happening is, you'll have like a lot of interest, in that hype will blow the token up, perhaps maybe slightly higher than it really needs to be, and then you'll see this pullback. But over time, I think that will start, that gap will start getting closed off, and then over time, I believe we'll massively exceed the numbers that we've seen just even recently. So I think this is just sort of like the natural progression, a correction, and then now you'll sort of see a slow increase back up to the previous recent ATH, and then perhaps past that as well.
Fantastic. Jason, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for your insightful interview. We look forward to your success at AdLunam, and we'll be following the space.
Nice. It's been great chatting with you guys.
Thank you so much for watching. This is Adele with Traders Brawl in collaboration with Web3 TV. Keep following our page, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Cheers.